strange to think of this quintessentially English flower? That in the 1670s, 1680s, this was an exotic, introduced as a wonderful and strange plant from Sicily. But I guess most plants, when they're introduced, seem unusual, and most get absorbed into our gardens. However, some retain that sense of the strange and the exotic and spread that magic whichever garden they are planted in. And Adam Frost has been to see one garden filled with that kind of magic.
This unassuming garden entrance gives little clue to what lies beyond. Behind the door is a tropical paradise filled with lush, exotic plants that bombard the senses. Wow, I'm hit by this wall of planting, this real height, which gives me this sort of room-like feel. And then the path starts to draw me up the garden. Then the planting sort of comes together and creates this, I suppose, a sense of tension. And there's a focal point that I can see, which is a cauldron. And I'm out into another area and everything's got room to breathe again and the sound of water. So I slow down and there's a beautiful little pool that's tucked away. That runs across the garden and disappears, and I'm not sure where that goes. The two lawns are bridged by just a simple piece of stone, and you keep moving on. And a lot of gardens, you more or less know where to go, and here, I've now got choice. You know, do I go one way or do I go the other? The only little detail here is just a simple stone and a change of level, which then starts to lead me into another area. It's a beautiful sort of seat that I suppose just says, sit down and enjoy, and you realise where that stream that was going across the garden drops into this sort of beautiful pool. And do you remember that water's a fantastic reflective surface, and I can sit here and enjoy the big shaped bold leaves just reflecting with the dahlias even being picked up in there. It's the work of owner Steve Moody, and you would not believe that it's the first serious garden he has ever created. Steve, this really is a beautiful garden, but how long ago did you actually start?
I took it on in 2009. We moved in, and there was literally nothing here. It was just mainly just grass. So I started by clearing it down completely and starting from scratch.
I mean, for me, it actually feels like we could be in the tropics, but give me an idea where that first piece of inspiration came from.
But that was probably from Christopher Lloyd's gardening Great Dixter. And from there, when I could see what you could grow and the heights of things, yeah, that's where it all stems from, really.
Yeah, I mean, he more or less gave people permission to break the rules, didn't he?
That's right.
Give me an idea, actually, how you first went about setting the garden out.
I drew it on paper first, but laid it all out just to give me a rough idea. And I'd look from the upstairs window down at the garden and see, just tweak it slightly till I got the effect I wanted.
So you literally laid the stone out in a shape, ran back upstairs, and then run back down and adjust a little bit, yeah?
That's right, yep. And I'd move a stone an inch if I had to, just to get the curves right, and that just gave me the outlay.
It's amazed me, really, because, you know, you're an amateur, but some of these planting combinations are really sort of quite clever. How did you first sort of start putting plants together?
To keep your eye moving through the garden, I try and keep the same colours, not necessarily the same shaped flowers, so you might have lots of reds going through, and also leaf shape, getting big leaves with small leaves, just so that the bigger leaves stand out. If we had all big leaves, the big leaves wouldn't look as good.
But you know what, mate, I think the garden's not only peaceful, but actually it's exotic, it's exciting, it nails so many different atmospheres.
Thank you very much.
What Steve has achieved as an amateur gardener is incredible. It's a bold and confident design. Do you know, when it comes to planting, I think it's a subject that people find probably quite scary at times and even complicated. And you look at this garden, you just think, wow, I could not do that. When you really think about it, all it is a series of layers. And I normally say to people, think about it as an English woodland. I know that sounds a little bit bizarre, stood, you know, in the tropics, but if you think about an English woodland and the layers, you've got that first upper story, you know, your big trees, that's the first level. After that, the saplings push up. That maybe could be the mid and the small trees in your garden. And then after that, you know, you've got your bracken going through, and for me, that's my herbaceous layer. Then you look at the snowdrops, the bluebells, that's your bulbs and your corms. That's exactly what Steve has actually done here, apart from he's used tropical-based plants. You know, he's used his palms and even catalpa at the end there, and they work their way all the way through the space, and they provide that upper level. After that, the next layer, he's used bananas, he's used phormiums, and they start to work shrubs, and they bounce through as well. And then we've got things like dahlias and crocosmia and the herbaceous plants that give those little pockets of colour and work really well. And then you come down to the real detail, and here Steve's used sort of little begonias and nasturtiums and even things like house leek, and they're the things that just sort of catch your eye as you look closely. So I suppose really in design, and especially planting design, is not that complicated really. Ultimately it's about building up those layers, and you can do that over quite a long period of time. You know, put that structure through and then slowly build your garden up, and that's how you end up with those sort of spaces that have got real atmosphere. It may seem a little daunting to try and emulate this at home, but whether large or small, you really can take inspiration from this garden to create your own paradise. You know, another thing I like is Steve's use of focal points, his use sort of small water features and bird baths, and even little sculptures that sort of pull you from space to space, and you get drawn, you know, into another area. And here at the end of the garden, it's used wonderfully, just this structure, cheap and cheerful, just wooden posts, but it helps create a real sort of intimate space. I really can see why this is calm, it's peaceful. There's not a lot of colour in here. He's used green, he's used leaf shape, he's used texture. It's a lovely space to spend 10 minutes. All in all, you know, I think he really has created just a little bit of paradise.
The key thing with any garden is to find the thing that inspires and fires you and be true to that. And then you will like your garden, and in the end, that's all that matters. As I say that, I realise that's not